We're going to end it early because I accidentally just ended it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. NFL Week 7 recap. Is everything technical good? You guys can hear me? We're all good here?
We are good, sir.
We're doing something new. Normally, we just, we record these before Sunday Night Football. We release them on X and YouTube the next day. We said, screw it. We're going live because I'm curious to see. I got the chat pulled up right here. You see, test. We are going to read and answer any questions, any comments. Dylan, you're stupid. Dylan, oh my gosh, is that the fifth or the second 5-star in a row you've cashed? I will answer any and all comments, but the streets are talking. 2 in a row, boys. Not to toot my own horn.
Some are saying, Dylan, you might be the sharp one on this podcast. Not college football fans. They won't say that, but some are saying.
I wanted to pose that question as well. Thoughts on just becoming strictly NFL? Because college football was really bad yesterday.
Hey, it was bad for both of us, Dylan. we both decided to take favorites, all minus signs across the board, and we got destroyed. I want it on here for all the haters, all the commenters on TikTok. I saw one of the Instagram posts or whatever blew up yesterday, and there were a zillion comments calling us every name in the book. I'll say it right now. I was wrong on almost every single college football game. There you go. That's it.
They were blowing up on Instagram?
Yeah.
I bet it wasn't the one where I picked Tennessee to win outright, huh? Not that clip. Only the ones where we're wrong.
No one's going to talk about Miami either. That's like a deep cut. We all hit Miami. No one wants to bring up the good. But hey,
and I was peer pressured into Michigan.
No, we'll have to check the tape on that. We'll have to check the tape on if you're peer pressure into that. But we'll talk about that college football show. This is the NFL show. We're recapping all of the action from today. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're not going to talk about the Thursday night game, but I guess we'll find out. We're going to go biggest winners, biggest losers, most important performances, fakest performances, maybe Super Bowl contenders. We'll talk about all the big games. We'll start with biggest winners. Eeny, meeny, miny, Connor. Biggest winner today.
All right, I'm going to start off with a couple serious ones. Amari Cooper, biggest winner for me. Going from Deshaun Watson and that Browns offense to Josh Allen, 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. I think that's just a big win for Amari Cooper. And I could have said the whole Bills offense, but just because the situational change, what a great thing for Amari Cooper. So he's my first biggest winner. And then Saquon Barkley is the other one for me. 187 total yards from scrimmage, touchdown, revenge game against the Giants. Eagles actually looked pretty good, shockingly. So those are my 2 biggest winners from today.
I want to say something about Amari Cooper because I had him as like a third honorable mention. I bet it's such a refreshing change of pace to go from what was happening in Cleveland to the Bills. And, I'm a Titans fan, obviously. The Titans' defense really isn't that bad. And to be able to actually like get involved with the offense right away and have a pretty good showing, I'm sure is huge. Carter, biggest winner from today?
Jared Goff. Jared Goff is my biggest winner.
Literally, look, you know what? Look at this. I have Jared, maybe.
There
Jared
it is,
Goff,
right in the middle.
You can't. MVP. Question mark.
Jared Goff is 1,000% the biggest winner. Dylan, you and I, not Jared Goff haters, but maybe not Jared Goff believers.
Maybe skeptics.
I would say not believers is probably a better description.
We're agnostic towards Jared Goff.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
But we don't know if it actually is, and we're not going to believe in it yet.
Only exists in a dome.
Yeah, exactly. And what was the biggest question coming into this game today, Dylan? Jared Goff against the Blitz. He answered every question today.
And that's I want to point out too, kind of the point I was making in our NFL preview show is Jared Goff against the Blitz, sure, but that offensive line deserves a ton of credit because they handled the Blitz well. Flores was crafting up some different blitzes, having guys rush in different gaps, and they, for the most part, handled it perfectly. I had Jared Goff as my biggest winner, 22 for 25, 2 touchdowns, over half EPA per play. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago he had that 18 for 18 game? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Cowboys?
Jay Gruden had Jay Gruden feeling nicey and all that.
John Gruden.
It was 2 weeks ago.
John Gruden.
Yes. John Gruden feeling all nicey 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. They were on a bye.
3?
They were on a bye.
Time's flying, boys. Time's flying. But I put MVP question mark. Now is I mean, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of season left. But this was a big game for the Lions, and he stepped up, and the defense did a great job, too. But, yeah, Jared Goff, biggest winner. Carter, you look like you had something?
No, I was just going to say, once again, Jared Goff, biggest winner. he was literally flawless today for the most part. Did not screw around. If it wasn't for weird defensive and special teams and fumbles and stuff, they probably could have won that game by double digits against the Lions today.
If you guys didn't see this, maybe you didn't. This is from NFL Next Gen Stats. I saw it on Red Zone. Jared Goff today. Vikings blitzed Jared Goff season high 55.2% of his dropbacks. You know what he was on those throws? 13 of 15, 163 yards and a touchdown. That was only today. Last 2 weeks, Goff is 16 for 18, 342 yards, 4 touchdowns while under pressure, 19 yards per attempt.
And it's just crazy. And this is what we talked about a little bit on the preview show, was like he's not better when he's pressured. He's better when he's blitzed. And we talked about it. You bring in guys from coverage. There was one play, I'm blanking, but I know Karter, after it, you texted the group and said something about, Jared Goff's the guy or whatever. And they brought like 7. And it's just, you have the guys open because you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have J-Mo, you have all of these Laporta, all these playmakers offensively, that if you bring in guys and you take guys out of coverage to come at Jared Goff, the offensive line holds up and it gives them plenty of time to make throws. I hate to... Yeah. No, go ahead, Connor.
The skill position players, like you said, they're good enough, quick enough off the snap. If it's one-on-one, if you're bringing 7, 8 guys, they're going to get open. They will get open. And we saw it today on that last drive. I don't know if this was the same thing for y'all, but it was almost a turning point for me where Jared Goff led a game-winning drive down the field, made some good throws, especially that one to St. Brown to get in field goal range. I don't know if this Vikings team is a flash in the pan or not this year. I don't know if we're going to look back at Week 15 and be like, remember the Vikings were pretty good to start the year? But if they do hold up like I think they will, I mean, this is probably a turning point for Jared Goff. I don't know if we'll see it. We don't need to talk Super Bowl or anything like that, but it was very encouraging today to see that against a pretty good defense.
The other thing I'll add to that is, or kind of a question I have, we all know Brian Flores blitzes all the time. Do we think he was just more successful going into this game against the blitz because they were more prepared for blitz packages because they know Flores does it nearly 70% of plays?
I think that could be it. And then at some point, if you're Flores, I understand that that's his defensive personality, maybe isn't the word I'm looking for.
Philosophy.
Defensive identity is to blitz. But if that is the case, then you have to have a serious self-reflection moment and say, okay, well, I can't blitz 55% of the time every game because we see how it works. Now, I will say, in the Vikings' defense, blitzing 55% of the time against like a Commander's offensive line is probably going to work. Like Patriots' offensive line will work, but this Lions' offensive line is one of the best in the country, and it just doesn't.
Yep.
It doesn't fly when you bring extra guys in. My second winner, I said Packers because they turned the ball over 3 times and they still won. And we might talk about this Texans team later, but anytime you turn the ball over 3 times, you still outgain your opponent by 80 yards and you pull out the win, I think is very impressive. But I guess you could also use the turnovers as like maybe that was their biggest loss. I don't know. But anyway, any more winners before we move on to losers?
I got a couple. I wrote down Tua because I think his $212 million contract might be worth it just to not have to watch Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle play quarterback anymore. I think he's worth every penny now. I saw he started practicing again. That was one of them. And the other one, I want to show a little class here. Deshaun Watson, not the greatest human being. You never want to see a guy go down like that, so I hope he's okay. But I think one of the biggest winners, Kevin Stefanski. Because you know why? Now he can just do whatever he wants. He won Coach of the Year last year with 5 different quarterbacks. All of a sudden, that gun's not to his head anymore saying, we're paying this guy hundreds of millions of guaranteed dollars. You have to play him, and we have to pray that he just gets better on the field because we made this investment. We made our bed. We have to lie in it. All of a sudden, you hope the guy's okay. But this scenario is now Kevin Stefanski. You want to play Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Go ahead. You want to play Jameis Winston? Go ahead. You won Coach of the Year last year. I think he's kind of getting the reins back. He can kind of do what he wants. I'm curious to see how this Browns offense looks next week. Now that it's fully in his control.
But what if these quarterbacks are just actually worse than Watson? What if Thompson-Robinson and Jameis Winston are actually worse than Watson?
Well, spoiler, Thompson-Robinson is. So we can go ahead and get that out of the way now. Jameis Winston TBD, we'll see. People have been clamoring for him, so now I guess now Browns fans get what they want. But I think Stefanski's a winner from today, even though the outcome was not great.
So, real quick coaching talk. No Doug Peterson talk for biggest winner. Big win in London. We're not feeling too great about that. Oh, okay.
All right. I have one more biggest winner. The Carolina Panthers.
Oh, Bryce Young, right?
we are one step closer to Cam Ward being the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. If we can continue,
Bryce Young didn't have an incompletion today.
No, 2 for 2, minus
Perfect.
4 yards. If that trend continues, we're just getting safety. So yeah, we're one step closer to Cam Ward playing in Carolina.
That was bad. I for some reason thought this Commanders defense would give up a little bit. They did not. That was really bad. We don't need to talk about the Panthers. Biggest loser. I'll start here, I suppose. Vikings.
Really?
The Vikings.
That was a good
Vikings
game.
are the. It was a good game, sure, in terms of the score being close. But let's sit back and think about what all it took for that game to be a 1 or 2 point game, right? I can't remember what it ended up being. I think it was 2. You have, well, no. Let's start with this. I said 2-3 weeks ago, Vikings never really go down. They hop out in front and then they just throw it on cruise control, which is fine. You can't blame a team for chewing clock when they're up and just like you can't. Michigan did it all year long. You can't blame a team for doing that. But I did say if we ever get into a situation where they get down and they need to make the jump and they need to come back from a deficit, can Sam Darnold do it? We haven't seen it yet. And they did come back, but it wasn't Sam Darnold that did it. It was the scoop and score at the end of the game. And even then it was Jared Goff, big boy pants, drive your team down the field and get a field goal.
Yep.
And they stalled out at the end of that drive for the field goal. There's no doubt in my mind if they wanted to score a touchdown, they probably could have with any indication the game was going. You also have the fake punt early in the game that sets up the Vikings on like the 35-yard line.
Yeah.
So it's everything that could have gone right for the Vikings went right. Now, Darnold did have that one really nice touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. But other than that, Sam Darnold he did not prove anything this game. The Vikings didn't really prove anything. And I think we're going to see as the year goes on, the Vikings are going to remove themselves from I don't want to say playoff contention.
The 1A class of the league.
They're not in the top tier. I would not say they're in the top tier.
Did
I think
we
that's
ever
fair.
believe that, though? Like, I know, Dylan, like, early on we were saying we're all in on the Vikings and whatnot, but we never thought they were winning the Super Bowl. We never thought they could go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs.
I don't think so, but I was higher on them at the beginning of the year than I am now. But at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, Sam Darnold, you give him an offensive line, you give him the weapons. This is going to be a really good Vikings team. And the defense is really good. The Vikings defense is almost in the tier to where when their opponents have turnovers, you almost have to credit their defense instead of saying it's a fluke. Right? You have the Rodgers 3-turnover game, 3-interception game, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to happen every game. But then you do have the scoop and score today, and you're like, okay, maybe this isn't as fluky as we thought it was. But even so, I can't get to the point with Sam Darnold where I'm like, okay, the team, I think they went down 11 at one point, and they couldn't even cruise control this game. They went up 10-0 early, and so it's a lot of concerns with the Vikings for me. I already have people on X commenting like, oh, you don't stop doing this for a living or whatever. But I'm just saying,
welcome.
give it a few weeks. We might be having a serious conversation about this Vikings team. But that's my biggest loser. Also, Tom Brady. Man, does he stink. He is really bad.
He's still getting the sea legs. Go on.
Well, it's 7 weeks in. We're 7 weeks in now.
I still believe in Bryce
theory?
Young, so he's got another season and a half before I give up on him.
That's fair. He can work to the end of his contract. Karter, biggest loser.
Real quick on the Brady thing, do we think Brady is AI generated? The commentator, Tom Brady.
I think Tom Brady in general, he just seems like a pretty robotic human.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I also, real quick, I want to shout out Cole from Lakeland said Bucks money line tomorrow. You guys are welcome in advance. We'll continue with biggest losers.
Biggest loser. We'll go ahead and get started early. Bucks money line. No, I'm just kidding.
The Bucks.
My biggest loser is NFL fans.
Oh,
The
really?
afternoon slate only having 3 games because they wanted to make sure everybody got pushed to the 49ers-Chiefs game. So we're going to put 2 crap games, Panthers and Commanders and Raiders and Rams, on during this game. So everybody gets pushed to Fox to watch this game. The afternoon slate was so bad. NFL fans are the biggest loser. It was awful. I fell asleep at halftime. I wake up halfway through the third of the Panthers game. I'm like, why is this still on my TV? What is happening right now? Please stop this. Please end this. It just couldn't. It just wouldn't end ever.
I normally look forward to the afternoon slate, because the late afternoon slate, because you get 4 games. It perfectly fills the multi-view. That's usually when I leave the living room or the basement to my office to prepare
Mom's
for this.
basement.
What was that?
Mom's basement?
Not Mom's basement. No. The haters are going to be very sad about that. But not Mom's. The basement that I do indeed pay a mortgage for. Trust me, I am paying for that mortgage. But I move it up here and I go quad box, and you get 3 games, and it's like you got a bunch of black space on your screen. And then, like you said, the other 2 games are really bad. So that's fair. That's fair for biggest loser. Connor?
Biggest loser for me, first one, I'll be quick on this one. Jaguars fans. Doug Peterson still has a job, still in the plane back to the United States. I think they're the big losers there, kind of just delaying the inevitable. And they didn't even look that convincing against the Patriots. Took a punt return touchdown. Drake May looked actually pretty solid. So
Yeah.
Jags fans will be my first loser. This next one I'm pretty passionate about, and I've been on this train, honest to God, since last season, since the draft last year. Anthony Richardson is my biggest loser. Is it time to say he's not an NFL quarterback yet? And I'm not just saying that to be like, oh, I'm going to get views and I'm going to talk, clickbait, yada, yada, yada. He was 10 for 24 today, 129 yards. He had 56 rush yards and a fumble. Dolphins are horrible. Defense, meh. But like the Dolphins as a team, that shouldn't have been a close game. Joe Flacco wins that game by 2 scores. I hate to say it. Joe Flacco's not the future, but he wins that game by 2 scores. I got a stat on Richardson for you guys. In his career, which I think he's played 8 full games, he hasn't had a game above 50% completion percentage against a non-AFC South team yet in his career. So last year it was the Texans, Titans, Jags, which last year two of the three of the defenses I just mentioned, awful. And also 47% completion percentage this year in the 4 games he's actually started and finished. He's only 8 games in, but is the jury still out? Do we think he's still gonna improve as a passer? I just don't think he is. I am out on Anthony Richardson, and if he proves me wrong, and he's a great athlete, he runs a lot, he can get in the end zone, he bull his way through, great. If he proves me wrong, I'll eat crow. I'm out on Richardson. I am. That's my biggest loser this week, and it just reaffirmed all my thoughts today.
Okay, I'll get into it. That was my fakest performance was the Colts, because Anthony Richardson had a classic Anthony Richardson performance, over 10 yards average depth of target, but almost a negative 20 completion percentage over expected, negative 12 EPA, negative 0.31 EPA per play. And you raise a good question, right? Is he the future in Indianapolis? And I think a lot of people give him the benefit of the doubt of the shortened season last year, and it's like, oh, he just has to figure it out. But he was even injured this year, and at some point you have to factor the injuries into that too.
And people were clamoring. They were like, he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Take him in the 3rd round. And I'm like, for what reason? I know he's going to be, get a lot of rushing touchdowns, a lot of touches on the ground like that, a lot of scrambles. But for what reason? What has he shown us to make him, make us think he's an elite, number 1, fantasy quarterback, but number 2, just reliable starter in this league?
Well, I think his
Fantasy's
small
rushing.
sample size last year was pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
or
it
decent.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was. Dude, he had 4 rushing touchdowns.
As a passer, it was okay.
Passer wasn't great back last year, but as a rusher, that's why he was a top fantasy prospect coming into this year. But no, Connor, you're right. He stinks. He's just not a good quarterback. It's as simple as that. You watch these games. You watch the Dolphins game. Michael Pittman, what? He's wide open. All of a sudden, it's out of bounds on the Colts bench. He misses.
He can throw it 8
throws.
yards down the field, and that's fine. But if you can't complete it 8 yards for a first down, then there's no point. You can bomb it the whole field if you want to. Joe Milton, we've seen this. I live in Knoxville right now. Joe Milton. Anthony Richardson. You just can't do it. I don't know. There's a couple other quarterbacks coming out of college that I think will be pretty similar, but we don't need to get into that.
Does anybody else have another biggest loser?
Matt Rule. I know this is an NFL show, but pseudo NFL, because I think he's still getting paid a little bit by the Carolina Panthers. But Matt Rule, he stinks.
Love that one. As a Panthers fan, that brought me joy.
2-21 against ranked teams. I don't know. Maybe he's just not a good coach.
I vaguely remember a conversation we were having about Matt Rule where someone told me that he was a good college coach.
People just kept saying that. I don't know.
Okay, echo chamber. You heard it's like a game of telephone. You heard it from somebody. You come pass it along. I tell my friends.
I know Big Cat tweeted that out yesterday, but if you're Pat Mahomes, are you actually mad at Dylan Raiola for how bad he's playing and he's still pretending to be you? Imagine some even lower level podcast all of a sudden was like, putting on glasses, putting on a Will Levis jersey, and spitting out terrible takes. I'm like, just trying to pretend to be
spitting
Dylan
out
Wilkerson.
terrible takes. Whoa.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Saying that Will Levis was going to be a good quarterback.
Lions 5-star. Will Levis wins that game today. We don't need to get into it.
Alabama by 2 scores.
Well, Miami. We can play this game all day. I've been doing it all weekend in the comments.
Dylan, the funniest part is we had the exact same picks yesterday.
Literally, it was literally the exact same. And I get all the brunt of the comments. It's okay. It's what I do. Any more losers before we move on to most important performance?
Texans passing game.
Not Nico Collins. Stephon Diggs fighting before the game. That kind of reaffirms some concerns we had.
Not on your team, right, Dylan?
Once out of Buffalo.
Another biggest losers, the Atlanta Falcons. That's a good one. How did they only put up 14 points against the Seahawks defense at home?
That is pretty brutal.
2 interceptions. Kirk was not good today, Dylan.
Mike McDonald, defensive-minded head coach. We might have been out on that Seahawks defense a little too early.
Oh, yeah, giving up nearly 30 points to the Giants. Mike McDonald, defensive mastermind.
Short rest. We talked about the rest thing, but you know what, Carter? I'm glad you brought that up because that's a great segue into most important performance that I had down, the Seattle Seahawks. They stop a 3-game losing skid. They force a few turnovers late against a good offense. The Falcons do have a very good offense. It's their defense that's the issue. They expose that bad defense. Geno Smith, looked very good. 12.3 average depth of target, 6% completion percentage over expected, almost a quarter EPA per play. Geno looked great. He grades out very well, too. He's one of the guys you go on PFF and you look at the top 10 quarterbacks and he's up there and you're like, oh, I didn't know that Geno was up there. And obviously he has great receivers to work with and a great run game. But Seahawks, I said, was the most important because they had to stop the bleeding. After going 3-0, they lost the next 3. Yep. They get a win against the Falcons aren't a bad team. So I said the Seahawks for most important performance. Connor, what's yours?
So originally I had Jared Goff in the Lions, but we already touched on him. I gave you the stats about him under pressure under the blitz the last couple weeks. So I'm going to pivot. And I don't know if this is most important performance, but I think the Eagles deserve a shout-out just for taking care of business. 28-3 against the Giants. A lot of people were on Giants plus 3.5, especially after some of those injury reports came out. And the Eagles came out and ran it down their throat and took care of business. Hurts only had 100 passing yards, and they still won by 25 points. So I think that deserves a mention, not because I'm overly impressed with the Eagles or anything, but they took care of business like they should.
I will say I think Mark Stoops was coaching that New York Giants team because Dayball was playing coward football in that first half. Coward football.
3 points. That's a tough look.
Tough.
I thought I like to hate on the Eagles, but Saquon Barkley specifically being able to go back and I think he said he wasn't expecting to be booed, and obviously they booed him. But
can you blame? Can you blame Saquon for you shouldn't boo him? You can't blame him for leaving. It's a poverty organization at this point. You can't blame him for leaving.
You can't blame him for leaving, but I think as a fan, you still have the right to boo when someone leaves.
It's tough to go to a division rival. I think that also plays into it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't see him as much of rivals because it's never really been much of a competition, but I guess this year it has. Carter, most important performance.
I have 2. Number 1, Cincinnati Bengals. They had to get. I know it's the Browns, they stink, but you had to get a division win on the road. Just get it done. Doesn't matter how it happens. They were 0-3. Now they're 3-4. They're back into the playoff picture. All is fine in Cincinnati. The defense has put together a couple nice games. I know it's been against a crappy quarterback situation with the Cleveland Browns. Doesn't matter. Bengals looked okay. They're back in being the playoff picture. Most important for them. My other one, this isn't the most important one, but I feel like we just have to mention it because we're this far into the show. The Chiefs are 6-0. The Chiefs are undefeated, and they won on the road at San Francisco with Mahomes missing 3 out of his 4 best weapons, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Us 3 could be his receiving unit, and we would still beat the 49ers. It does not matter with this guy. He wins. Dylan, whenever you look at your stats before you're prepping to give a pick for a game on these shows, you almost have to throw some out with the Chiefs at times where you go, you know what, but somehow, some way, Mahomes and this team just get it done.
Sure, and I actually had this thought today. It was like, how much of this is actually coaching? Because we talked about fading the Chiefs as a 3-point favorite or more, but then we talk about you have to take them as an underdog because Mahomes and the Chiefs have been so good. And Mahomes...
And Andy Reid.
And Andy Reid, yes. And Mahomes has not been great this year, and they still find ways to win games. And some of that is Mahomes' presence, his threat as a rusher. There's a lot of things that go into that. But Andy Reid deserves a lot of that credit, too. And they find themselves as the lone undefeated team. Now, I'm not going to poo-poo on your point here, Karter, but I mean the 49ers were missing just about everybody. This was not a completely healthy 49ers team by any means, but the Chiefs were dealing with similar issues as well, and for them to be 6-0 right now, especially with how Patrick Mahomes has been playing, I feel that's very important.
And with the win on the road, and also Brock Purdy was bad today. Brock Purdy was
bad.
Really, really bad. Really bad today.
What? I don't want to spend too much time here. I tend to lean towards giving Brock Purdy the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback.
Okay.
He played bad today.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys, is where you stand on the Brock Purdy discourse.
I think he's fine. Like, I think he's in the Jared Goff range for me.
Okay. Today is not a game you can take too much stock into. Against, all their weapons were missing and banged up and hurt. McCaffrey hasn't played this year at all. Elite Chiefs defense. You can't take too much away from that. And we as fans deserve the better game. We had 5 total interceptions, no passing touchdowns. I mean, I was hoping for like a shootout, to top off the afternoon slate. I don't know.
Are interceptions a bad thing for the viewers?
Yes.
I enjoy interceptions.
Some of us don't love Big Ten football, where the score is 10-3.
Yep.
Well, but okay. Now, if you want to say you don't. Okay, all right. Let me think here. If you want to say you don't like low-scoring football, I could understand where you say that, where it's like they're just running the ball 2 yards at a time, red zone, like turnover on downs in the red zone, things like that. But interceptions, I feel like, are the more exciting way to have a low-scoring game.
Yeah, but still, high-scoring football's more fun.
It's better than 8 punts.
What about pick six?
That's different.
Okay, all right. If it results in points, then it's a different. We're
a points podcast. Anyhow, the other thing about Pat Mahomes, you said he's been bad this year. Yeah, I know the stats haven't looked great and whatnot, but also every single big moment in all these games this year, Mahomes has delivered every single time. When it's time for Mahomes to make the big play, 2-minute drive, it doesn't matter. Yes, they've been bailed out a couple of times on penalties and whatnot. Doesn't matter. Mahomes gets it done every single time. He's probably going to be the MVP this year, Dylan. Maybe. Mahomes might be the MVP this year with one of the worst stat lines for an MVP winner.
It's his worst start in his career. Through, 6 games right now? By far.
He's probably the betting favorite,
picks
isn't he?
It up when he plays bad. What?
He's probably the betting favorite right now, isn't he?
I'll get stats department on that.
Yeah, stats department on that. But I don't know if I see that. I think that at some point, I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. He helps his team win in ways that aren't reflected on the stat sheet.
Yes.
But MVP, if you don't have the stat, you have to have some stats for MVP.
But I'm not even talking about the stats part of it, because the MVPs usually push more by media narrative. Because if you look at stats last year, arguably Christian McCaffrey should have won MVP. But if the Chiefs are 15-2, 16-1, or 17-0, Mahomes wins this award.
Mahomes is the betting favorite, plus 350 right now for MVP.
Easily.
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson 5-1, Goff 8-1, Stroud 8-1. Somehow.
Goff 8-1.
He was like 17-1 before coming into today.
No, that doesn't make me feel as great. That's tough. But yeah, you make a fine point there. I don't know. You're right. It is fueled by narratives. I think you have to have some of the stats at the end of the year to back that up. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Fakest performance. Connor, why don't you lead us up?
Yeah, I'll go here. This isn't even I've been at odds with this fan base this year a couple times so far, so this is not a shot at the Washington Commanders, but that game against the Panthers, you can't take anything away from it. The Panthers are a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Hey, rookie tight end Ben Sinnott, you want your first touchdown? Here you go. Hey, Marcus Mariota, you want to come in for one more game where you can just ball out and get a win and, probably going to be a career backup from here on out. You want another good game? Here you go. Hey, a couple weeks ago, Caleb Williams, you want your first good game in the NFL? Have some. Please, take it. I mean, the Panthers are just handing out wins, handing out points. Embarrassing performance. It speaks more about how much the rest of the league, almost every team is head and shoulders above this Panthers team. Not so much the Commanders being, I'm not mad or bad at the Commanders, but that's the Packers' performance because you can't take anything away from that game.
Yeah, that was my pick too, but going off that real quick, every single week we do this segment, it's just whoever the Panthers play because they give up so many points. I think the next one you can do if someone else takes it is, okay, who did the Patriots play? The Jaguars? Okay, the Jaguars are my fakest performance of the week because also you get to play them in London, pseudo home game for the Jaguars. Who cares? The Patriots are terrible. They're just as bad as the Panthers. Awful. It doesn't. Yes, they're just as bad. Yes.
So you're saying pick 'em, neutral field, Patriots, Panthers.
Oh.
Drake May, Patriots.
Oh.
Drake May Patriots offense.
I say Patriots are favored. Give them a field goal, baby.
Drake May Patriots. I would go Pats by 1.5. And I wouldn't feel good about it. Yeah, because also the Panthers were a 10-point underdog to the Commanders today. At what point are we going to see the Panthers as a 20-point underdog this season?
Don't they play the Chiefs? They play the Chiefs this year?
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
The week of Thanksgiving, they play the Chiefs. That might be 20. That's 20-point spread, right?
No,
No, they won't.
So. I don't think
because
we'll
the Chiefs love to sleepwalk in spots like that. Like next week against the Raiders, the Chiefs are going to come out slow. They just are.
If this trend continues, the Panthers will be a 20-point underdog at some point this season.
They will.
They have lost. They have lost by 30+ multiple times this season. This is going to continue, Dylan.
I don't think that. I understand what you're saying. It's looked bad.
Because it's not like guys on the defense are coming back for the Panthers. These guys are out for the season. It's just going to get more and more depleted. I'm pretty sure at some point in this game, they had 7 dudes on the defense that were undrafted free agents.
They said that. They said that on the broadcast at one point. I remember them talking about how many undrafted free agents there were. I hear what you're saying, but I think at some point the parity in the NFL is so strong. I just don't. When's the last time we've ever seen one? A 20-point favorite.
Those guys lace up their cleats the same way, don't they, Dylan?
They get paid. Now, not as much.
I think it was during Tank for Tua for the Dolphins. I think they were a 20-point underdog.
We'll have to get stats on that here. Maybe we can check back up in the NFL preview. But that's tough. In college football, that's different. NFL, not in my recent memory.
I don't. You go ahead. Sorry.
my fakest team, Indianapolis Colts. I touched on it briefly. Classic Anthony Richardson performance. Over 10 yards, ADOT, can't complete a pass to save his life. Awful numbers, awful underlying numbers, awful face value numbers. The Colts win. They beat the Dolphins, who had Tim Boyle, who had Snoop Huntley. Can't put too much stock into it.
Pro Bowler, by the way.
Pro Bowler, Utah legend, Snoop Huntley.
I feel bad for Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. It's like they're just running cardio, running sprints.
I faced Jalen Waddle today in fantasy. That was huge. Huge.
I played Jalen Waddle in fantasy. That was also huge.
Nice.
For the wrong reasons.
Any more fakest teams before? Do we want to do Super Bowl contenders? I know we have Sunday Night Football about to start. That know our ties here.
I'm good.
The only game we haven't touched on is the barn burner that was the Las Vegas Raiders losing to the Rams.
Confession.
So 10-minute recap on that real quick or no?
Confession. I didn't watch one snap of that game. I had 3 TVs up. I got so mad. I said, no, I don't want to watch this anymore.
What'd you think about?
It got kind of weird at the end.
I don't care. Nothing from that game was going to help me ever on this podcast and help me ever in life where I said, I need to put energy into this game. I had no money involved in that game. Did not matter. Turned it off immediately. I don't need
another biggest winner. Seahawks division betters. We're still alive.
Big win. That was a big win. Get you up over 500. Also, we need to talk about the fact that Acrisure is pretty much an old person's retirement home tonight. They just did Russell. They did Russell running out of the gate, and then they panned over to Aaron Rodgers, who was looking down at the ground. And I just thought, wow, the combined age of these quarterbacks has to be over 73, 72, I would imagine. Anyway,
70, 75, right?
Dylan, since we're going to release this on the feeds tomorrow, Dylan, you're going to go ahead and get a pre-recording apology in for trying to believe in Russell Wilson before the game starts, or no?
Actually, I want to go back and revisit biggest winners. Russell Wilson threw for five touchdowns, 400 yards on one of the best defenses in the league, and now he's what'd you say, Carter? He's the betting favorite. for the MVP.
And that's
One
it for
game in?
Madden Corner. Madden Corner on the cast. Madden Franchise Corner.
Anything
Monday
else?
Night
Are we doing
Football?
Super Bowl?
Monday Night Football.
Let me go back to my notes. I totally forgot we were going to do that.
Monday Night
Two
Football.
games. Two games
Great.
again with a great promo. That promo's been getting me fired
I
up.
will be so. I have been waiting all day for Monday night because I am ready for that commercial to stop airing. Holy crap! Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
Dylan, that's your phrase.
It is, but she butchers it. That's why I hate the commercial. She butchers the phrase.
Oh, it's because she butchers it, not he.
Yeah.
He
Interesting,
does-
Dylan.
Dylan says he doesn't butcher it. He only says she butchers it.
They butcher it.
2024. Oh, there you go.
It butchers it.
We're gonna get
Nope.
demonetized.
Yeah, good night.
Well,
What we got?
probably not
What's
on probably
Ravens,
not on
Bucks,
Twitter.
Chargers, Cardinals. Right?
Yep.
Correct.
Ravens, Bucks. Connor, I'll start with you.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't dug too much into this game, and every bone in my body's like, fade the Bucks. You've been saying Baker Mayfield is not a good quarterback all year. This team's fool's gold. I think this is a weird spot for Baltimore. I think this is a spot to come out slow. I kind of lean Tampa Bay +4. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is a closer game than what people realize, and Baltimore tends to play down to their opponents whenever they're a lesser opponent. And the Bucks aren't even like, obviously Baltimore blew that game to the Raiders in week 2. The Bucks are better than the Raiders. So if the Ravens start slow and play down, this is a game the Bucks can win.
I 100% agree. This is a weird spot for the Ravens. This is the inexcusable. Wait, this is a Super Bowl team? What's happening here with Baltimore?
This is the week when everybody tweets about Lamar Jackson's playoff stats, and they're like, wait, remember this?
Yeah, and they're like, oh no, this guy can't throw.
Yeah, he's a running back, Lamar B.
Carter, it was you. You said something about the Ravens secondary being a little sus one week, and that's a point that I made here. Tampa Bay loves to pass on over 60% of their plays. There's a path here for the Bucks to upset the Ravens. Now, am I as brave as our friend Cole that's been in the chat saying Tampa Bay money line? I don't know about that. But the secondary for the Ravens does not grade out very well. Now, defensively, the Ravens have a very good offensive front four. They could overwhelm Tampa Bay's offensive line. Ultimately, I'm going to stay away. But you tell me any outcome here. I'm like, okay, I believe that. Other than a Bucks blowout. I don't think I believe Bucks blowout. But you tell me the Bucks win by 3, I wouldn't be surprised. You tell me the Ravens absolutely curb stomp them, I would believe that as well. Chargers, Cardinals, the more important Harbaugh against the Cardinals. You have the Cardinals as a 2.5-point underdog, over under 43.5. Carter, Chargers or Cardinals?
I don't know. It's on ESPN Plus. Do you still have your subscription, Dylan?
I mooch off my dad.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm mooching off my dad's.
You just have to yell upstairs. You're living in his basement, right?
Dad, what's the password?
It's like John Clayton in the ESPN commercial. Mom, I'm done with my segment. Chargers, Cardinals. Give me the Chargers, but I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about either side on these Monday night games. These are two weird games. I don't know how healthy Justin Herbert is. The Cardinals are just the antithesis of whatever the public thinks is going to happen. Just do the opposite. So let's see here. You said it's a 2.5-point spread right now.
That was when I did my prep.
1.5.
notes. 1.5.
So 1.5. That means the Chargers win this game 28-27, and the Chargers don't cover, but the Cardinals cover. But the Chargers
math.
win.
So
Yeah.
Cardinals money line lose, Chargers
Yep.
spread lose.
Yep.
I like it. They get a nice little middle there.
Yep.
I don't know if I have the stats to back this up, but if this was a really good team playing the Cardinals in prime time, I would take the Cardinals spread. I'd be like, oh, Cardinals +7, lock it in. But against a team like the Chargers, who's kind of on the same level as them, I think they're going to disappoint. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. got cleared to play and all this stuff. I think the Chargers offense they're going to run the ball down their throat, control time of possession. I think Herbert's not going to be asked to do too much. I think it's going to be a big game from Dobbins, Gus Edwards, whoever gets the ball out of that backfield. Kamani Vidal, who knows? I think Chargers are going to win this. I think it might be kind of gross. I think Chargers win by touchdown maybe.
This is so I didn't really take a side. This is an opportunity for Justin Herbert or just the Chargers offense in general to show what they have against a pretty bad Cardinals defense. And then it's kind of vice versa where the Cardinals offense hasn't been bad, but the Chargers defense I would say is probably the strongest unit on this team, maybe other than their run game. I don't really know. But I didn't take anything. I said there are too many injuries on the Chargers side. Yeah, I didn't take anything. I hate to not have anything on the Monday night games, but they're both kind of eh.
The last 3 weeks for the Chargers, they've played Denver, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Those are 3 above-average defenses. I'm curious to see how they perform against a very below-average defense against Arizona. Because the last 3 weeks, they've gone against some tough opponents.
Yeah.
At least on the defensive side of the ball.
Most definitely. Okay, Monday Night Football. Are we doing Super Bowl?
We can go quickly.
I got some contenders, yeah.
Hit us, Connor.
Right now, and this is before we're recording Sunday, October 20th, I've got 4 that I put the parameter in our text thread. I was like, teams that you wouldn't be completely shocked if they actually won the Super Bowl. I have Kansas City, I have Detroit, I have Buffalo, and I have Baltimore. That's it. I didn't put Minnesota, I didn't put Washington, didn't put Tampa Bay, nobody else up there, didn't put Cincinnati. I have 4. And that's it. Because every other team, if Minnesota wins, I will be shocked. Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl in the year 2024. I would be shocked. So they didn't make my list.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, too, because the Bengals won it. I don't see a world where this defense is good enough for them to win a Super Bowl and make a playoff run.
So what's the problem with the Texans? 5-2. You have Packers 5-2.
The same thing I've been saying all year with the Texans. They have yet to put together a convincing 4-quarter win. They've yet to put together 2 complete halves of football against inferior teams for some of these games. I haven't seen it. And like I said before, if it's week 11 or 12 and they've got a few good wins in a row, they get hot, sure, I'll consider that 100%. But I've yet to see it. I'm not going to put him in there yet. Stroud had 86 yards passing today. Come on. Now, I know Nico Collins is out, but still.
Now, real quick, I do want to ask this because I have plenty of post notifications on. I saw that when the Texans went down 14-13, there was some post about Stroud's not happy or Stroud. What was happening there? Did anybody get to see that in real time?
I did not.
No,
I had the game on me. Game was muted.
All right, I'll have to find it. Later then. But I think your list. It's really hard to throw anybody else in there. I would say I'm pretty bullish on the Bengals, but kind of like Karter said, the defense, it's really hard to sit here and say that defense can win them a Super Bowl. The Bengals recipe
Jets?
No.
Jets with Devontae Adams doesn't do it for you?
I will say this game where I have it up in the top left. Oh, beautiful throw from Russie. Anybody just see that first down? This game will tell us, like, if you can't say if Russell Wilson comes out here and looks good or decent, that Steelers defense, I understand they don't have the weapons, but if Russell looks decent and this against a good Jets defense,
Connor, what was this segment called, Dylan? It was, would you be shocked if this team won the Super Bowl? I would think hell froze over. Pigs would start flying if Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
So my next segment is Super Bowl cross-offs. I'm going to go Pittsburgh Steelers.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers won the Super Bowl.
Dylan, yes, you would.
Yeah, you would.
I know
Stop
all the
lying.
Russell Wilson propaganda, I get it, but you would be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked. They have the defense for it.
They don't have the quarterback. They don't have the weapons.
We don't know yet. We don't know. We don't need to do Russell Wilson a minute.
Wipe away their 4-2 record, asterisk 0-0 now, Russell Wilson.
That's fair. I mean, you make a compelling point there. But I look down the list, like Falcons don't have the defense for it. Bills, I see you had them on your list. Well, Karter, do you want to go before I just start reading off teams?
No, I like I said, I mean, I mentioned it before. I 100% agree with this list. I wouldn't put the Eagles on there. I definitely wouldn't put the Cowboys on there.
Nope.
Commanders was the other one.
Nope. Not this year.
Jury might still be out on the Commanders, Connor. I think that you're saying you would be totally shocked if they won the Super Bowl.
Yes, I would be shocked.
If rookie Jaden Daniels led them to a Super Bowl win, I would be shocked. The Washington Commanders.
Even at this point?
Yes.
Okay. I would be shocked too, but I had to question it because they have looked awesome. I know they played the Panthers, and he didn't even have to play. Marcus Mariota was dicing us up like it was 2012. So besides that point, but yeah,
a team that hasn't been discussed yet, 49ers. What if they get healthy? That wouldn't shock me.
I had them. That was my, like, if we're doing tiers, like, that was my first team out. because I'm never going to count them out. With the talent they have, with the weapons they have, with Shanahan as the coach, like they can always make a run.
And they've been there. That's huge too.
Right.
Is being there.
Yeah, the Niners should be in that list.
I guess so. Yeah. All right, we'll add a fifth team. We'll asterisk that.
Yeah, it should add a fifth team.
Broncos just quietly 4-3. Oh, hold on.
Nope.
They're going to be 5-3
throwing.
next week when they play the Carolina Panthers.
What's the spread on that game? I haven't looked yet. Guess the line. What do you think it is?
I'm going Broncos by 8.
It's at Denver.
No. At Denver.
I'll go Broncos 6.5.
I was going to say Broncos 5.5.
Yeah.
The correct answer is 7.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That seems right.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. Bo Nix is a 7.5 point favorite against us.
Bo Nix is 7.
I think it's the defense. That Broncos defense buzzing.
Well, and also the Carolina defense is the worst in football.
Guess the total.
36.
47?
47. No, 42.5.
Oh, I like
fair.
the over.
It's a middle of the pack.
Oh, I like the over. This Panthers defense can't stop. Marcus Mariota put 40 points on this team today.
But you're forgetting Bo Nix is going to gift wrap 3 picks.
Even better, Danny Dalton can convert a little bit. This 42 is too low for no Panther game should be that low. Every team can put up 40 on this Panthers defense right now. We need to stop talking about the Panthers and end this.
Yeah, I know. That's the Panther. Yep.
Yeah, this is Russie just led the team down for a field goal drive, so I got to be locked in. That's 3 points on Russie's card right there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It looks like 74 viewers, which isn't that bad. So thank you for joining. Cole, thank you for the chat. If you want to rewatch it, like, oh, man, that was a great live stream. It will be up on YouTube at some point tomorrow, sometime before the rest of the stuff comes out. So thank you for watching.